Boom. Welcome, everybody. John Arvosis here in Washington, D.C. At the moment, my voice works. Who knows? Well, it's been bad all day, but it's a little good now, so we shall see. Welcome all. We are here to talk about Ukraine, latest news update. And I don't have a ton of news today. I've got news, not a ton, so we'll see where it takes us. We'll have a bigger discussion than normal, I guess. And we can talk about, well, a lot of things. We can talk about Zawahiri. We can talk about Taiwan, other topics as well. Just hold on, turning off the ringer on my phone while we talk. And there you go. So I've decided on a new strategy here, which is when I join, we'll start the news right away rather than waiting 5 minutes because, oh, those TikTokers, they get fickle. They're not as good as the rest of you about waiting. So for the TikTokers, I want to go a little faster. So any case, I'm doing fine. You know, my voice is still being goofy. I finally made another doctor's appointment tomorrow to find out why after 3.5 weeks, I still have goofy voice. Thank you, Mike Webb. I will do the quick summary on how to pose questions on TikTok. You've got to go to my profile on TikTok and you'll see the thing that says Q&A. Hit the Q&A button. That's the best way to pose questions because then they're actually there in a row and they're easier than me having to go back and find them on the screen here. You guys, obviously the comment box is the easiest. And otherwise, of course, you can do the super chat questions, which I love. and when I'm good, I actually answer the super chat questions. Sometimes they fly by and I miss them. So sorry about that. All right, guys, I'm going to have a sip of my hot water, warm water with Manuka honey and lemon that you guys recommended. And as I said, tomorrow I go to the ENT to see why my voice is being so bad. Anyway, so first I wanted to show you a video that Vlad in Ukraine sent me, and it's really quite wonderful. Hang on, I'm going to pull up. He sent it to me on Signal. It's a great video. Hang on, Vlad. Here we go. I'm gonna download it to make it easier. But this, I am 99% sure, is from the Ukrainian government, which only makes it that much more wonderful. I mean, this is the kind of crazy things these guys do. I say crazy, not crazy at all. I'm gonna, it's not that long. I'm gonna show it to each of you in turn. I'll show TikTok first, and then I'll show the guys over here. In case folks don't realize, I've got TikTok on my iPad, and over here, I've got YouTube, Facebook, etc. Though we may be fixing that shortly, which I am very excited. It'll help me up my game here. So let me show you. Oh, okay, come on. Mom, there we go. It's been so long before Mom has called in the middle of the show. Now you got proof. Oh, it's so funny. She cracks me up. All right, hopefully she's not gonna, or I'm gonna answer and tell her I'm in the middle of the show. So, all right, here is the video. It says the sky is illuminated by bright lights. I'll show you in a sec. Is that wild? Coming to it, yeah. Now, I mean, this was the Russian military because I saw the little thing in the corner. Let me show you guys now. Hang on. Oop. Here we go. All right, oop again. Oop, shit, sorry. I hit the button. Don't hit the button. I was trying to turn the button up, the volume. Oop, hold on, going back again. Here we go, okay. This is when night falls in Ukraine. I love it. HIMARS global tour coming to a Russian depot near you. So HIMARS, of course, is the Russian. It's the American rocket system, missile system that we provided to the Ukrainians, and they now have 16 on hand. We've promised them 16, and they've got 16, which is pretty amazing. And it's been causing all sorts of havoc. Oh, and for the Greek who got upset, because you know what, Greeks, that I didn't talk to my mom when she called, Mom was calling me back. So it's okay that I'm going to call her back, because actually I called her earlier today. So I was a very good agorist, so don't worry. So anyway, it's wonderful, but it goes to show you again the public relations aspect of what the Ukrainians do and just how good they are at all of this. It's absolutely ridiculous. All right, sorry, putting my AC on here. So Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, arrived in Taiwan this evening, Taiwan time, and she, it's caused a little bit of a controversy with China. I mean, what do? It's the one thing that made me feel better about it was that Will Ripley, that's his name, Will Ripley, is the CNN reporter who is usually their North Korea expert. They've got another guy who they very often have on who's their China guy. But Will is an Asia expert overall, so he knows about that too. And he said that actually he was quite reassured by China's threats, because the threats China was making were like the threats China always makes. In other words, it wasn't sort of an exacerbated, much higher level threat that China had made. It was kind of what they always say when they're annoyed, which means it shouldn't go any further than that. So, just good news on that front. But Pelosi arrived. Everybody, it was kind of funny because everybody was tracking it on the flight radar, which was kind of fun. So people all over the world, because there are websites for tracking flight radar. And I was able to use it to track some of the Russian planes that were going around, and being able to call out some countries because the Russians were violating the airspace, like they were violating Canadian airspace, and the Greeks as well. And anyway, so everybody around the world was following Pelosi, landing in Taiwan, which was kind of cool. The other big story, which you know about because it was on at the very end when we were still talking, is U.S. Armed Forces killing al-Zawahiri. In the video, I called him Zawahiri because I remember it as being Zawahiri, but I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it is Zawahiri. So I went back to the beginning of Biden's address and thought, clearly they told Biden how to say it correctly. So Biden says Zawahiri. And after I did my TikTok video, I just said to myself, it's not Zawahiri. It's got to be Zawahiri, I think. Anyway, what do you do? So TikTok is being evil again today, I see. Yeah, somebody's suggesting I started again. I could. Sometimes that seems to help, Well, TikTokers, you know what? Let's try it. I'm gonna turn off the TikTok, and I'm just gonna start it again, the same thing, and let's see what happens, okay? I'm going to, hold on, the rest of you 1 second while I have a little more of my hot water. All right? Because TikTok is always like 10, 15 seconds behind. There we go. Now they caught up. Yeah, let me try it. Can't hurt. End now, and then it should let me restart. Here we go. Go live. Let's see. TikTok was especially bad today, but the algorithm, which is like the computer program they use, is just, like all of social media, it's very difficult to know what is sort of pushing the algorithm's buttons, so to speak. So in any case, so Zawahiri, we talked about it last night. I'm not sure there's a hell of a lot to add. I'm going to do Ukraine news next, but just thought I'd mention it. And I don't know if folks want, we can get into it at the end. I can look now while we're waiting for folks to come back on TikTok, talking about a few things. Alec is weighing in about Taiwan, says Pelosi had to go to Taiwan because if she didn't, then it would have made the U.S. look weak, though I do agree going to Taiwan wasn't needed. Yes, the problem becomes once Pelosi had announced she was going to go and the Chinese complained then she couldn't back down. There was no way around it, you know? So there you go. But what's the thing here? I'm just trying to see what else. Well, Taiwan will be Ukraine 2.0 if they invade. Absolutely. See, it's funny. Everyone says unnecessary provocation. You know, it's funny. I mean, the Pelosi, I got to tell you, I kind of felt the opposite. I felt the, I felt that, that I'm getting tired. You know, Tom Nichols had said this. He's a, thank you, Mags. He's a Republican on, I would say a good Republican, a defense Republican. Doesn't strike me as kind of a crazy far right type or anything like that. You know, he's not an insurrectionist, smart guy. And he had weighed in and said just that he thought it was unnecessary. It was an error for Pelosi to go, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, excuse me. I think he said like it wasn't sort of that it wasn't really necessary for her to go. Having said that, he did say that he's getting sick and tired of all the apologies we keep doing to other countries. By apologies, I mean, you know, oh, Vladimir Putin, please, we don't want to humiliate you. We don't want to get you upset. Oh, if we get Putin angry, Putin will get so, you know, Putin will go to war if we get angry. He'll use his nukes if we get angry. And China, oh my God, we don't want to make China angry. It's like this, you know, and I don't mean to sound all Rambo about it, but thank you, Inspired Woman. But maybe these countries should worry about getting us worried, you know, about getting us angry once in a while, you know? And I don't mean that that is how you conduct foreign policy. You don't conduct foreign policy simply because it feels good to make other countries angry, you know what I mean? But sometimes you've got to make clear to them that you're in charge. You know what it reminds me of? To give a crazy comparison, Caesar, what's his face? Caesar, who's the dog whisperer, right? And this American guy who had a very popular TV show training dogs, and he was very good at training dogs. Although I'm sure there was some you know, editing that went on with his TV shows as well. Thank you, Jesse James, for that. But very good at training dogs. And one of the things, he also wrote a lot of essays and things. And when I first got my dog, who's doing very well, people keep asking, she's fine, she's sleeping. Cesar Millan, that's it, Cesar Millan. And one of the things he said with getting a dog and training them in a puppy, he said, be capricious with your dog. And I was like, capricious? And I even Googled it and looked the word up because I was like, capricious. And he meant sort of spontaneously whimsical, unpredictable. And the idea was you've got to constantly remind your dog who's in charge, or your dog will think he's in charge or she's in charge, right? And I don't do it because I feel bad, but it's not a totally crazy concept. In other words, he's like, for example, the dogs learn when they're getting treats. Like my dog knows exactly when she gets her treats and when she gets whatever. And the point was, you know, sometimes don't give her 3 o'clock treat just to kind of mix things up. Anyway, it reminds me of foreign policy in the sense of it shouldn't always be about us worrying about other countries. Sometimes other countries should worry about us as well. And this is where the Putin thing kicks in, because any of you who have watched for a while know where I come down on Putin, that I think absolutely positively it's not going to be a perfect analogy. I'm talking about dogs here. Dogs are not exactly foreign policy. I get it. But with Putin, from the beginning, there was a fear factor from Biden, but clearly from the French, from Macron, and clearly from Scholz, the German chancellor. And each of them motivated by different things. You know, Scholz, it's a lot of this traditional German sort of, I don't want to say cultural affinity to Russia, but this idea of we will work with Russia. Russia is our partner. Russia will be our economic partner, this kind of thing. You know, and Russia is nearby, so we must make friends with them, blah, blah, blah. France, who the hell knows? Biden, it is this clearly somebody in his ear, and I'm told it's General Milley, but who knows, is telling Biden that Putin is crazy. If we do the wrong thing, he could absolutely go nuclear. He could absolutely go chemical, biological, you know, this kind of a thing. And he's got Biden scared. Now, that didn't stop Biden from supporting Ukraine, as I said yesterday, I give Biden a B+ for how he has supported Ukraine. So I think he's done very well, but it's not an A. In French, as I said, it's a 14 and it's not a 6. It's maybe a 13, 14 instead of a 16. I love the French. As a quick aside, in France, the scale is actually out of 20, but the highest grade you can get is 16. And when I was there studying, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? So like a 16 in France is an A for Americans, but the scale is out of 20. And the answer as to why no one gets like above a 16, it was something, what was it? Only God gets a 20 or something like that. That basically you're not perfect. And it's to teach you that you're not perfect, which I just love that. But in any case, but yeah, Biden started from the beginning thinking, if we push Putin too far, he's going to get humiliated. He's going to get embarrassed. He's going to feel cornered, and he's going to do something bad. It could be nukes. It could be chemical. It could be biological. It could be, who knows? He could cut off all the all the gas to Europe. But we've been working with Putin from a position of fear, and I think it's incredibly dangerous. I know it's incredibly dangerous because I wonder to what degree. Eric, is that it? Yeah. Only God gets a 20. I forget how you say it in French. What? Could you? I don't know. However you'd say. Write it in French for me, Eric. So next time I tell the story, I can tell people in French. But it's TikTok's not allowing anyone on my live. Get out of here. What do you mean they're not allowing? No, it's on though. Wait a minute. Are you guys are watching me? TikTok folks, chime in if you're still there, if you can see me. Okay, they're still there. Yeah, they're still there. No, the ones that are there, some other people restarted and they can't see me. That's funky. Jeez. Yeah, no, the people that are on TikTok right now say it's fine. TikTok is down. Except it's not down because we're here. Well, it may be down for the new. We are a very exclusive club right now over at TikTok, apparently. The new people are not being allowed in. Or not too many new people? Okay, Smoke just joined. You know what? I will say this, what's interesting. TikTok does play games because right now, the number of people on TikTok, I had 550 live with me right now. Now we're up to 700. And it literally just went boom and jumped, which makes me think something turned on again. TikTok. Anyway, I don't want to bite the TikTok that TikTok doesn't really feed me, but you know what I mean. Don't want to upset the TikTok folks. Any case, let's move on with this now. Czechia. I gotta say, is anybody really prepared to call the Czech Republic Czechia? I just can't do it. I was talking to my friend Marion about this recently, and I think she said the same thing. She was like, I just can't say Czechia. I think maybe it's in English. It just sounds funny in English to me. Czechia. I don't know. I just can't do it. Anyway, the Czech Republic, because the notes I had written down were Czechia, that somebody had said in a tweet. Czechia, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Okay, it has a certain rhyme to it, I guess, if you say it together, I'll give you that. Suspended issuing tourist visas for Russian citizens. Interesting question as to whether it is for spite or for security reasons. I'm going to guess there's also a security issue going on. Thank you, Danis. Or Danis Lucky, was it? Yep. Danis. I was going to go Danis. There's probably a security issue going on as well in terms of the Russians. But, the connection, all I can tell you guys as always is the connection's fine according to TikTok. When you go live, it gives you a little thing in the corner to let you know how your connection's doing. Mine at least claims it's a good connection. So can't help you there. You can ask questions. You should be able to ask questions, Breezy. Just go to my profile and look for the Q&A. Just go to the profile and look for the Q&A. All right, guys, what are we doing here? All right, let's, so the first Ukrainian vessel with grain has reached Turkey today. According to the Odessa Oblast governor, Maxim Marchenko, the first grain vessel that departed from Odessa on August 1st is now entering the Bosporus Strait. Agence France Presse reported that the Sierra Leone flagged Razzoni is due to be inspected on August 3rd, which would be tomorrow, by Ukrainian and Russian officials before heading to the port of Tripoli in Lebanon. I think that, exactly, Kanowski, that deserves a little confetti. And the reason it's being inspected by the Ukrainians and the Russians is because that was the whole deal, was that they wanted to make sure that, it's a little weird that it's being inspected leaving, because coming into the country, they didn't want weapons to come in. Leaving, I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure who they think is going to be on the boat that the Russians don't want to leave, but who the hell knows? In any case, in other news, I was going to say good news. I'm controlling myself by not calling these things good news. I still remember, many months ago when we were talking about the war news, and suddenly my TikTok live exploded on me, and I got the message that I was banned for life. We all remember that one. That was quite a joy. And I kept going through my head. I remember at one point I said, here's good news. And it was a story like I'm going to read you. And at the time I was going like, okay, was it because I said that? Except we all know what it was. It was just the Russians reporting everything. But so in any case, some news, I'll call it, from Kherson. Kherson, as always, we'll do our little geography primer because it kind of helps you with all of the news. So remember, folks, that in general, the fighting in Ukraine has been happening, around Kharkiv up here. It's been happening meaning it's happening a lot is what I mean. It's happening everywhere, but it's happening a lot up here, a lot around here. It's increasing around here. At least the Russians are afraid it's increasing because they're actually moving troops from over here. And mind you, remember, this was after Putin, lost miserably in Kyiv, right, in the capital. And the Russians got pushed back, all their equipment destroyed, really bad news, right? Then the big game became, okay, well, we're not going to take Kyiv, the capital. Let's go and take eastern Ukraine, which is these two provinces right here. Well, the Russians got the one province, about 100% of it. The second province, they've got about 50%, and they've run into real problems with the 50% with the second province. Much harder to get. Ukrainians have been dug in for years. So there's a much better defense posture for the Ukrainians. The Russians don't know the terrain as well as they knew the terrain in the easternmost province. So lots of reasons this isn't going as well. Well, what's happening now is the Russians are starting to freak out and worry that the front that the Ukrainians, we keep talking about this new front, the counteroffensive, right? The big push that the Ukrainians are going to do, pushing back against Russia, coming hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Well, I say hopefully. I mean, they've got to do it when the time is right. That counteroffensive, we believe, is going to happen down here in Kherson, which is the province all around here. Okay. Well, now the province next to Kherson, Zaporizhia, the Russians are moving troops to the northern area of this province right here, because the Russians are starting to get worried that I was reading more about it today, that the counteroffensive for Kherson is also going to include Zaporizhia. So they're getting really worried, okay? So that gives you sort of the idea of where things are. Now, in terms of Kherson, Kherson has seen a lot of activity. Kherson has had, as far as we know, the most reports of partisan activity, meaning collaborators getting blown up. And again, people know what collaborators are. Collaborators are basically your Ukrainian town gets taken over by the Russians. The Russians put in their own government, to make things run more easily, but also to present a veneer, a patina of sort of a lip gloss to the rest of the world. They want to have Ukrainians in the puppet government that's really a Russian government. Because if they have a Ukrainian head, it looks like they're free, right? So the Ukrainians that are willing to work for this puppet fake Russian government are called collaborators. They're locals that work with the enemy. Okay, those are collaborators. In France, in World War II, remember, there's some iconic photos from World War II at the end of the war when Paris was liberated, and these French women who had their heads shaved totally. Well, they were shaved by the Free French to indicate, to punish them for being collaborators and to make clear to everyone on the street that this woman was a collaborator. Because unless you could find a wig, and I'm guessing right at the end of World War II, there may not have been a lot of wigs available, unless you already owned a wig, everyone would know you were a collaborator. So awful, but these were women who were working with the Nazis, So in any case, that's what a collaborator is. The partisan is a Ukrainian citizen who is secretly working with the Ukrainian intelligence behind enemy lines. Because again, you live in your town in Ukraine, the town's been taken over by the Russians, and even though you're regular citizen who works at the auto factory down the block, secretly you go and work. I see Phil Mickelson. Secretly you go and you help the Ukrainian intelligence plant bombs after hours, and you do all this secret stuff. In any case, the most numbers of collaborators that we know, the incidents have been in Kherson, in that province. They have blown up so many Russians and so many Ukrainians that have. Hogan's Heroes is a good example. Actually, Hogan's Heroes is a really good example. Old American TV show, but for those of you who know Hogan's Heroes, exactly that. People who, sorry, what are people complaining? TikTok's doing okay now. We're up to 800. We're doing okay. Tell me later, at the very end, fill me in, because I don't want to stop mid. But if anything's going wrong with TikTok, let me know at the end when we finish, and that's a better way of doing it, because that way I won't stop sort of where I am. In any case, that's who partisans are, that's who collaborators are, and the province of Kherson seems to have the best partisans on the planet, because they keep blowing up the Ukrainians, they keep blowing up the Russians. Well, they did it again. The car of a partisan IED, so an improvised explosive device, which were the devices that were used against U.S. troops quite effectively in, I think, Iraq and Afghanistan, both. Remember, they would have them along the road, kind of buried. You wouldn't know they were there, and just blow up these vehicles. Well, they're using them now in Ukraine. A partisan IED targeted the car of Ukrainian collaborator and local mobster. Oh, there you go. There's a twofer. Ukrainian collaborator and local mobster Vitaly Efimenko in Kakhovka, Kherson Oblast, on July 30th, landing him in the hospital. Now, one of the things that's important just to note with this too is clearly, I shouldn't say clearly, it seems from the evidence that Ukrainians have been very good about not helping the Russians. We are seeing a lot of evidence of, I talked about it the other day, actually, a lot of actually very concrete evidence of, in eastern Ukraine, for example, the province the Russians control already, they don't have enough doctors and nurses and physicians assistants because the Ukrainians are literally refusing to go to work. And they're having to bring in Russians to just man the hospitals because the Ukrainians are refusing. And the same thing is happening with banks, with not just government buildings, but with government bureaucracies. But banks can't open because the Russians want to have the bank. Anyway, the Ukrainians have been really good about this. And the few Ukrainians who are willing to work with the Russians keep getting blown up. So there's a really strong incentive on the Ukrainian side not to become a traitor. What was this? Oh, just a quick little, this was another Kherson news, another story from Kherson. Ukrainian Marines reportedly took 11 Russian service members prisoner after conducting a localized counterattack in an unspecified area of the Kherson Oblast. Oh, this is interesting too. Okay, from Institute for the Study of War, which is the think tank I really like, that is here in Washington, D.C. They're a defense think tank, but respected by a lot of folks around the world. They were talking about what I was telling you, that the Russians are now starting to take their troops out of here and move them down here to Zaporizhia because they're getting afraid about this imminent Ukrainian counteroffensive. Well, what Institute for Study of War says is that this is now creating an opportunity for Ukrainian forces to launch a counteroffensive on the Izium axis. In other words, and I can never find Izium exactly on here, but in other words, The fact that the Russians are moving their troops out of here and going over here means the Ukrainians are probably now going to take a bunch of troops and go back here. They've been playing cat and mouse with the Russians. Initially, when the Russians decided to leave Kyiv, the capital, thank you for that. Was that Cat Kids? Cat Kids for the musical notes. When the Russians pulled back, because, well, they didn't decide to leave the capital, when the Ukrainians kicked the Russian butt and the Russians were forced to flee Kyiv, either go directly into Russia or go into Belarus and go over into Russia, they then went all the way around and they reinvaded here in the east. Well, when the Russians reinvaded here, because they clearly wanted to take eastern Ukraine, the Ukrainians said, okay, well, we're obviously going to fight you here, but guess what we're going to do? We're going to start invading down here. So it started freaking the Russians out. So then the Russians had to start moving troops first to Kherson, which they did. In the last month, they've been moving them down here. In the last week, we've been hearing then about the Russians moving the troops from, mind you, the Russians are still fighting here. They're still trying to get control of this province, but they're having to force to move their troops down to Zaporizhzhia now too. And what it means is the Ukrainians are going to go, okay, then I guess we're going to start attacking here again. So you got to get, and actually one of the stories I've got coming up to tell you explains a little bit more about just sort of the Ukrainian brilliance and what they've been doing with their war strategy. But it's really quite amazing. And it may or may not be a bluff. I mean, I see Yum saying it's a bluff move. It may or may not be a bluff. I mean, the Ukrainians may still be planning a major counteroffensive or not. I mean, or it's a bluff, like you said, and maybe the Ukrainians are trying to get them to move all of their troops to the south and the west. And then when they do, then the Ukrainians take back the east. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Sip of water. Russia's Supreme Court today labeled the Azov Battalion a terrorist organization. The Azov Battalion is a group of Ukrainian troops, basically. Southern Ukraine, I'm going to say based around Mariupol, which actually makes sense. Duh, it makes sense because this is the Sea of Azov. So I'm assuming there must be in any case, it's the Sea of Azov. Here's Mariupol, so kind of makes sense. And Mariupol was where the Azov Battalion, mostly Azov Battalion troops, some other Ukrainian troops, were holed out in that steel plant where they were fighting for 2 months against the Russians, 2,000 Ukrainians against 14,000 Russians. And at least 1,000 of those 2,000 Ukrainians were Azov Battalion members, fighters. Well, these are the guys also that the Russians really hate because the Russians claim they're all NZs, you know. They're not. They used to be extremists back before 2014. And absolutely there was scary ties with Nazis and all sorts of bad things. And they cleaned their act up. Actually, Yulia, who's on, had done a nice video on it, I believe, because I remember watching her video. They cleaned up their act, and it's no longer true. But of course, Russia being Russia, thank you, David. It makes a great talking point, even though it's a lie. Well, the Russian Supreme Court now is claiming that the Azov Battalion is a terrorist organization. They upgraded it from an extremist organization. And I raised this today, just to mention, because when the fighters were captured, they turned themselves in, right? Because finally they fought as much as they could. Thank you, David, for that. They fought as well as they could. And Zelensky finally ordered them to turn themselves in because I think they had no more food and water. They were running out of weapons. They were going to be killed in a week anyway. And he said, better to try to negotiate your release than to have you die. It's stupid. They were named after this Azov Sea. There you go. That's what I figured. Well, the Russians were talking about trying to pass a law that said that no member of the Azov Battalion could be exchanged for prisoners. And I want to say, I'm actually trying to remember now if they were trying to pass a law or if they were trying to do a law or if TikTok is sending out surveys about my live, that's not a bad thing. I've been working on some things behind the scenes. So if you're getting an actual survey about my live, it could be a legitimate thing that actually is helpful. believe it or not. So do fill it out if you get it. I didn't know such a thing was happening, but it could very well be happening. So, because I've been working with some folks who work with TikTok, and we're working on stuff. So, in any case, it just makes me wonder if this Supreme Court decision is not part of a larger effort to make it so that the Azov people don't have to be turned back because they're terrorists, they're not soldiers, right? And soldiers, and it means they're not prisoners of war, right? Because they're terrorists. They're not Geneva Conventions. You get all sorts of things that happen with that. So anyway, just keep it in mind. This was good too. Institute for the Study of War assesses that Russian forces were responsible for the July 28th attack on the Olenivka prison in eastern Ukraine that killed 53 Ukrainian prisoners of war and injured over 70. That is an interesting observation because up until today or yesterday when they made this decision, the Institute for the Study of the War was being very careful and saying that it was certainly more likely that Russia did it than Ukraine, but that's as far as they went. Now they are saying that they have determined or assessed, to use their word, that it was Russia. Anyway, it's curious because it makes me wonder what went on behind the scenes. Like, what new evidence did they get that made them comfortable? Because keep in mind, okay, you as regular people, if you are a regular person, it's fine for you to say it's obvious Russia did it. But if you're a defense think tank or a news organization as well, you've got to be a little more careful about that because your gut tells you, of course, Russia did it, right? Thank you, Kath, for the hanging lights. Your gut tells you, of course, Russia did it, but a news organization has to be careful about that. They can't just say, well, Russia, they're a bunch of blah. Everybody knows they must have done it because they're bad people. From a news organization, and from a think tank, the same thing. So just one of the things to keep in mind, because I saw somebody complaining last night, and it was interesting. He was saying that on Twitter, smart guy, but he was complaining that news organizations weren't giving the story as much attention, and I agree with him on that account. But he also complained that news organizations kept saying, that they weren't sure who did it. The Ukrainians say the Russians did it, the Russians say Ukrainians. And I didn't disagree with him publicly because I don't want to be rude. But it seemed to me that you kind of have to figure out your role here, Because now, even for me, right, I'm trying to do the news honestly. I'm still a partisan, not in the Ukrainian sense. Not that anybody knows. But I'm still a partisan. I'm on Ukraine's side in this, but it's in my interest to get the story right because more of you will come and stay and come back. If I keep telling you things that end up being true, you'll go, okay, he seems to get this stuff, right? If I keep telling you things, like if I keep saying, they did it, we know they did it. And, every time something happens, oh, that was the Russians, that was this, that was that. After a while, I'm going to start getting it wrong. And you're going to go, you know what, that guy just says crap out of his ass, basically. And it's a fine line. Now, having said that, because I'm more, whatever I am, I'm independent of, I'm not CNN, I can say, from which I said from the beginning, I sure think Russia did it. It's always possible it could have been something else, but it sure reeks of Russia, In any case, I just sort of bring these things up because I think it's also an important lesson for understanding things you see online and things you hear from people, and whether you can trying to not take everything at face value somebody tells you, and keeping an eye on how they're telling you stuff and where they're getting your info from. Anyway, you get it. I like CNN though. No, I like CNN a lot as far as that goes. This is SNN, not CNN. We're the Sasha News Network. Which, by the way, reminds me all, I did finally set up a shop on oops, hang on, did I close it? I set up a shop today, represent.com, God bless them, approved my application. And I set up a store today with 3 initial clothing items, and I'm going to give 50% of the proceeds to the Ukrainian charity work we do, because I'm also trying to find ways. The auctions are going to be 100%, because the auctions are literally things Vlad are sending me from Ukraine, and those things, those are for Ukraine. But other designs and things that I create, I'm gonna, if they're Ukraine, I'm gonna try to do 50-50. Yes, anyway. So anyway, my point here really quick is I'm gonna share it with you guys on those guys. You've all got the link. And for you all, actually for you all, it's pretty easy. It's represent.com/store/Aravosis, my name. So represent.com/store/Aravosis. And you can go check it out. When we get the Discord going, which will be very soon. I mean, we're literally a day or two away from launching the Discord. If you get a paid subscription to the Discord, you'll also get a discount in the store. So it's up to you if you want to buy something now or not. But check it out. I like it. I mean, and they're really good. I will make this final point. They're really good. And one thing that has shocked me about Represent, I'm so glad they accepted my thing. Their margins are so much better. I'm just saying this as an FYI, if you ever use stores for making t-shirts and things like that, oh my God, their margins are so much better by a mile than what other people. I mean, other people, you're lucky if you get $3 or $5 a t-shirt. I mean, it's really amazing, really amazing. So very impressed. So hopefully you guys will be impressed as well. Discord, somebody maybe can explain in the comments to you there. I want to continue with the news. I didn't want to get too off track here, but oh yeah, you're right. I'll have to put my store in my link tree, so to speak, in my profile. I had literally just got it set up a little bit ago, so I'll get it there when we're done. Good idea. Thank you for that on TikTok. I forgot to do that. And Annette, thank you for that. I did see it. I was in the middle of talking, but I put it on the screen so you'd know I saw it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just seeing here real quick. Oops. Oh, there you go. Laka went over and looked. Thank you for going over and looking, Laka. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The final thing I was going to say is, if anybody is a designer, and obviously I'm asking for free help here, but if anybody is in the mood to design t-shirts, and I mean, we can see, basically, how do I want to put this? I'm not going to accept every design, obviously. So I want to say that up front. I don't want to offend anybody by people designing some stuff, and then I go, I don't think it works for the shop. So please don't be offended, right? But if anybody can come up with maybe even some ideas for designs first you want to suggest to me. And I mean, if you're a designer, at the very least, if you were willing to let me put them in the store, at the very least, obviously I'd be willing to have your name prominently on the design, so everybody can actually see it. You did it. I don't mind paying a little something. I just don't. I'm not making money even doing this right now. So like, I'm nervous about. I really can't pay $500 or $1,000 because I'm just not making any money right now. So that's the only thing. So anyway, I feel bad even asking, because I hate sort of asking for people to work for free. So I don't mean to be doing that. But if anybody's a designer and feels like they may want to help me, because for example, I want to get a Sasha News Network t-shirt, that would be totally cool, right? What Rainbow and Cindy are saying, either Russia is loosing dude or you're loosing dude, right? That they're writing with LOOS, because that was that's sort of our punchline, but also a Sasha News Network thing, which I almost feel like it could be a cartoon or something. I don't know what. But trying to figure out what these would be, So if folks want to think about it, I'll tell you, my email is my last name at gmail.com. Don't mind saying it occasionally. Don't give all the Russians, but you can email me directly. And my only thing is just that. I'll continue. I don't want to lose all the TikTokers. As I said, TikTokers are finicky when you get off topic. But my only thing is, exactly. It's a design contest, basically, because I don't want to have to say that each design for sure I'm going to pick and we're going to do a t-shirt of, because I can't say that, but it'll be a contest, and I'll pick the top ones. Also, excuse me, I just thought about that. Something that's a fair trade. That's a good idea too. I can absolutely come up with something to compensate you for. Certainly, some of the military stickers. That's an easy one. That's an easy one. The shirts I want to see, only because the T-shirts, Vlad's going to be sending even more shirts. They take up space when he sends them, and he's sending them from Ukraine, that they're a little more of a pain in the ass. But like the military stuff, these are easy they're easy for him to get, but they're easy for him to mail, because he could send me 20 of these or whatever, right? So I could certainly do these for starter, or not this in particular, whichever, right? But let's talk about it. But I think I would like to do something to sort of thank you guys back. If you end up being the design I pick, there's going to be something we're going to do for you. Hell, I mean, I could, again, I can easily give Vlad the money in the next shipment to even buy some shirts so that I can send you the shirt, really. I mean, that's doable too. Let me tell you really quick. Okay, my nephew and I were talking about T-shirts since we got into a T-shirt discussion. The tractor pulling the tank, a silhouette of a tractor pulling a tank, absolutely. Something with sunflower, something with the Ukrainian trident, something with my dog, and something with the Ukrainian map. There you go. Those are the ideas. All right, let me go back on again. We can talk about it at the end. I don't want to go too long with this because I don't want to piss people off who may not be interested in talking about this, but I'm excited because the store just got up, and now I'm like, T-shirt ideas. And with this store, at least, it starts with T-shirts and posters, and then the more you sell, the more apparently they open up more things you can put the merchandise on. But we'll see. All right, let me continue. This was good today. So the U.S. today imposed sanctions on Putin's alleged mistress, Alina Kabaeva. The U.S. Department of Treasury has expanded the list of sanctioned individuals targeting Alina Kabaeva, a former gymnast and a Russian President Vladimir Putin's alleged mistress. Now, some of these things kind of crack me up because I wonder sometimes, not crack me up, piss me off is a better word. Only now we're sanctioning Putin's alleged mistress. I mean, come on, guys. It took us 5.5 months into the war. Really? I mean, really? I just don't. You guys can email me. It's my last name at Gmail. Email me, Amanda, or anybody else if you want to discuss further. You got designs you want to show me, or ideas, or pick my brain, or whatever, or even pitch some ideas in general, because I may tell you, yeah, I don't want anything like this or whatever. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that, Alec. That may be a bit too much. I think a T-shirt with a dead Russian on it would cross my line of decency. Yeah, I won't be doing that. But we'll see. I've got the first one I've already got up of the one from the Ukrainian child. The wonderful one she did of the one with the flames around the girl. Looks gorgeous on a T-shirt because the colors are amazing. Snake Island T-shirt. Well, see, you could also, I do want to go on with the news here. You get Snake Island and things like that because you could get, property of Snake Island, I don't know what, right? I mean, property of Ukraine tractor. You can do a lot of funny things. I mean, who knows? I have no idea. My email is my last name at Gmail. So just look at my last name anywhere and at gmail.com. All right, guys, let me go and continue the news. We can talk more at the very end about this too. The 5 foreigners who sided. Oh, this was not good news. 5 foreigners who sided with Ukraine in the defense of the southern city of Mariupol are to stand trial in the so-called Donetsk People's Republic. This is the province of Ukraine to the in the east, one of the 2 provinces in the east that the Russians are trying to call independent states, which they're not. They're accused of being foreign mercenaries. They are one Swede, one Croat, a guy from Croatia, and 3 Britons. So anyway, yes. Business Insider. Oh, here, this was the good story. This. I wrote a lot of little notes on this because I thought it was neat because we talked about it before. We talked about this issue before, and I like that the story kind of walked you through it. So we talked a few days ago about, and I had you guys actually jump in, the military folks here, to explain to the rest of us why it is that they say the Russians, there's sort of no innovation at the lower levels of their military, that they take orders, and if they don't get new orders, they just, they go over a cliff like buffalo or lemmings, or I don't know what it is, right? But they're very bad at working off the cuff. You kill the general, you kill the colonel, and they kind of go, and they sit on their asses. And why that is. And we talked about in the US, it's the non-commissioned officer corps, sergeants, things like this. Anyway, Business Insider had a really good piece on this topic. And the headline was, Russian forces can't cope with unpredictability of Ukrainian troops, says top enlisted leader. In the 5 months since Russia launched its attack, Ukraine's military, I'm going to read you the first couple paragraphs because it's really good. In the 5 months since Russia launched its attack, Ukraine's military has relied on its enlisted members to frustrate Moscow and force it to reduce its ambitions after heavy losses and limited progress. Speaking to senior enlisted leaders from 65 countries on Monday, Ukrainian Air Force Chief Master Sergeant Konstantin Stanislavchuk attributed the effectiveness of those non-commissioned officers, which refers to troops who have risen through the enlisted ranks but have not been commissioned as officers, to a training process that was revamped after Russia's 2014 invasion in order to emphasize leadership and the ability to think and act independently. This was something I had heard before, was that it was after 2014 that they decided just to change everything, to make themselves a much better fighting force. Quote, I believe the Sergeant Corps plays an important role in this success, Stanislavchuk said at the Senior Enlisted Leaders International Summit hosted by the U.S. Air Force near Washington, D.C. He added, after all, the actions of small Army units are managed by our junior commanders, the sergeants of the armed forces, without waiting for instructions from above, took the initiative to conduct independent, small operations and act independently and resourcefully, he said through a translator. In this way, the defense forces are comparatively different from the enemy, where generals are forced to personally raise their subordinates to attack. Oh, that's really interesting. Now, see, this is something I didn't even fully appreciate, that when they're doing these small operations, these small military operations that they're doing, it's literally a small group making its own decisions about what they're going to do. Like, hey, we can go do a quick attack here. We can do a quick attack here. That it's not higher ups who are not, or at least if it's higher ups, it's not very high up. Whereas in the Russian case, actually, does somebody know in the Russian case, what is the lowest it gets before somebody would be the person who would, how do I phrase this? In the Russian Corps, who is it that would give that kind of order? Who would tell you if you're doing small operations, small missions, things like that? Who would be the one who tells the unit to go do it? But where is the captain rank versus where it would be for the Ukrainians with their non-commissioned corps? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But is it such, I guess I'm just trying to, without understanding the two militaries, I'm trying to get a sense of just how much higher is it in the Russian military that comes from, I mean, we know in the Russian military, the lower levels just are not empowered to do anything, but I was just always curious, like at what level? Do they have to go 2-3 levels up, from themselves, 4 levels up from themselves? I don't know. Generals, in fact. I mean, in this thing, it claimed the generals. That's what it's saying here, Could get a lot. Yes, I'm sure Wild Hunt it would. Oh, okay. Some of our guys, I didn't realize that some of our military experts aren't here today. Okay. Thank you, Lucy. Sweet of you. But we have Lucy and Nathan, which makes up for it. Okay. Any case, very interesting. But I thought it was a really neat article, and it was nice because it was informative, but it also was a nice. It was nice in terms of sort of what it was saying about the troops and giving them credit. Final story: the Kyiv School of Economics says Ukraine's economic damage due to the war with Russia is estimated at over 108 billion with a B dollars. According to and that's the same in euros. The exchange rate is basically the same. According to the Kyiv School of Economics, the total cost of damages documented since February 24 has reached 108.3 billion, requiring at least 185 billion for recovery. Excuse me. Damaged and destroyed housing has the largest share of total losses. Oops, I'm going to mute you. Oh boy. So there you go. Okay. That's it for the news for today. It's funny, even though I only had 4 pages of news, usually I have 6, because we were doing so much talking about everything else, we're already at 7 o'clock. We're going another 15 minutes, so don't worry. Ukraine World Tractor Pull Champions. That's true. That's true. Yeah, that is a good, that's a decent idea. Yeah. No, there's a lot. I mean, oh God, that's a brilliant one. Sorry. Now I'm going to start. People are like already brainstorming. I need ammunition, not a ride. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Wow. Yulia, the question about ranks was, I just read a story from Business Insider that was really good, interviewing a Ukrainian military guy, talking about why it is that the Russians that the Ukrainians have been able to run circles around the Russians, and he explains it as the sorry, I'm like in my head working through this. It's the non-commissioned officer corps that the Ukrainians have, what the Americans have, that the Ukrainians put into place as of 2014, so that small units of men and women are able to make their own decisions about small operations they do. Whereas on the Russian side, it would be much higher up, the person who would make the decision for even little operations that they would do. And I was just curious, comparing the two side by side, like how many levels higher you would have to go in the Russian army to get not the approval, to get the orders as to what that small operation should even be. I was just curious, like, is it 1 level higher, or is it 2 or 3 levels higher? Just to kind of get a sense of just how, or is it literally generals? I mean, literally, is there no small operation in the Russian army that isn't approved at the very top, which is insane, but maybe is true, you know? I'm very curious about that, because again, we do know that it's true about the Russians, and we know it's true about the Ukrainians, but I was just curious, comparing the two, how much higher does it go in the Russian military? You know, and it's for even small operations. I can't really do a Stefania t-shirt because that's like stealing their idea. You know what I mean? So I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that one, Ashley. Yeah. I mean, good idea, but I can't because it'd be their idea. Angry Sasha on Snake Island, firing a HIMARS and sinking ships, bombing Moscow and Putin. I will say something about Sasha at war could be kind of funny. The only problem, of course, is it's only funny to us. It's not going to be funny to anybody besides us, but I'm going to find it hilarious. So there is that. You crack me up. A pontoon too far. Now you got me looking at all the t-shirts here. HIMARS o'clock. Oh, HIMARS o'clock. Yeah. HIMARS o'clock. It's HIMARS o'clock. That's an idea. Yep. It's HIMARS o'clock in some way, shape, or form. and HIMARS is a great idea for a t-shirt anyway, right? Putin. You know what's funny too? This is one of those things where, like, when you're a foreigner, you find words similar and funny, and to everybody else they go, huh? And to me, as an American who speaks French, I always found, oh God, now I don't even know how to say it. Vladimir, Eric, if you're still there, Eric, or any of our other French speakers, Audrey-Anne, Putin, the dish poutine, right? And Putin, I always get confused between the two, and I think it's funny, right? Poutine, and what's the food? And what's the food though? The Canadian food, poutine. Are they not spelled the same way? Are they both poutine? Wait, so they're both poutine? Okay, this is the point. This is the point. This is why I find it funny. And when I tell people that I find it funny that they're both poutine, people are like, okay, whatever. But to an American, it just kind of makes me laugh, right? And as an American, I also think poutine is funny because we say Putin in English, and Putin to me sounds like putain. And the idea of Putin sounding like putain, it just makes me laugh. But that would be way too esoteric of a t-shirt, I fear. But it still makes me laugh. Putain. Putain. Oh my. You do spell them the same way. That's really funny. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, I had poutine in right across from Ottawa. What's it called? I know the name, the little town. It was good. It was good. It was edible. I got it with meat. It was a little expensive, but I got it with meat and stuff. It was good. Just curious. So what else we got here, folks? Since you're helping me with t-shirts and stuff, don't want to scare everybody off today. Putin put out and about Putin? No, I don't know that, Downey. I have no idea what that is. Vladimir Puta in Spanish. That's funny. Okay, that's funny. Vladimir Puta. That is funny. Well, in Greek too. In Greek, putana. Well, obviously, Greek and Italian have picked up that word. You know, I don't want to swear in every language here. Get myself in even more trouble. Hang on a sec. Oops. This is funny. I've got everybody talking about Putin and Putin now. This is very funny. I'm not convinced. Yeah, getting to a little more. We'll get to a little more of the substance before we get into the fun stuff. U.S. China over Taiwan. The risk is, somebody had said earlier. One of you guys had typed this, and you're right. You know, the risk we get into with Pelosi visiting Taiwan is that China, to get even, does something to help Russia, right? That's the thing that worries me a little bit. You know, that they might do something like that. So that, you know, there's that. Now let me look at my Q&A on TikTok. I shall. Deep, deep, deep. Beep, 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 beep. TikTok Q&A. All right. Aside from nukes and chemical weapons, if 500,000 people die from a gun versus a nuke, when can we draw the line with the Russian Federation and NATO move in and help? Has to be a red line. Well, you know, it's an excellent point because, for example, as I told you, they could use a small nuclear weapon that, you know, only kills 500 people, 1,000 people. Or fewer. I mean, if they do it in a field, if they go after a Ukrainian command center, you know, it doesn't have to kill 100,000 people. But that would be a nuclear weapon, which would be like, oh, NATO gets involved. But you're right. If they kidnap, you know, 2 million Ukrainian citizens, including 300,000 children, and they kill God knows how many tens of thousands, we kind of go, oh, that's okay, you know. But if they kill 1,000 with a nuclear bomb, oh boy, I mean, it is a bit of a silly difference. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Or blowing up a nuclear reactor. Well, see, that gets you into another interesting position, because blowing up a nuclear reactor, there's, first it depends. Okay. If a nuclear reactor blew up, it would become the same thing that happened with this discussion about the prison in eastern Ukraine, where the Russians said the Ukrainians did it, the Ukrainians said the Russians did it. All of us know in our heart of hearts it's probably the Russians, of course. And you're now seeing, like I said, Institute for the Study of War said they've assessed that it was the Russians. But it took a couple days for that. I'm trying to think what God, what did you say that got me thinking of that? I'm having that moment again. Having that moment. My brain, I was working on something for you to answer that question well, and then my brain went out the window. Boy. It was something, the chemical, the blowing up a nuclear plant. Exactly. The same thing would happen. Nuclear plant would blow up. Who was responsible? Oh, somebody shot artillery or something. Ukrainians say it was the Russians say it was blah. Then you get into a question of, first of all, what kind of satellite coverage we had at the time. Were our satellites able to pick up sufficiently what it was in order for us to say what it was, where it came from, etc. But you would see a process of trying to nail down definitively that it was Russia before we could even decide if we're going to bring the hammer down. My concern is Russia blows up a nuclear plant and we get more serious. We do another round of sanctions because we're very serious people, right? And that's it. I mean, if I'm questioning what NATO would really do if Russia blew up a nuclear plant, then Vladimir Putin's questioning it as well. I'm not convinced that it would be the end of the world from a NATO perspective if Putin blew up a nuclear plant in Ukraine. And that scares me because it means Putin saying the same thing. He's going, I don't know, we could blow up a nuclear plant, and I don't think NATO's going to do the same thing they would. Who are you, a journalist? Well, I wrote for The Economist. Does that count? Oh, trolls. Or are you being funny, or were you not being sassy? Sorry, I thought you were being sassy. If you're being sassy, then I meant to be sassy back. If you were being funny, then I didn't get the joke. Sorry. So, anywho, let me look at another question here. Are any Russian troops fighting with the Ukrainians voluntarily? That's a really funny question. Yes. I mean, some people signed contracts once the war started, right? And they're, some of them, we even heard about them. Some of them have signed like 3-month contracts or longer, but they certainly signed contracts once they got in, right? So they're there voluntarily. The Chechens certainly seem to be there voluntarily, right? Beyond that, it's hard to say. It's hard to say beyond that. I don't know. That's a funny question. I mean, it's a good question. I never quite thought of it the way you put it, which is being there voluntarily. I mean, now there's something to be said for it's not like U.S. troops fight in a war voluntarily necessarily. I mean, they volunteer to be part of the military, but only the ones after the war started who volunteer know they're volunteering for World War II or whatever it is, right? If they're just volunteering for like today, if you volunteer for the military, then you're volunteering to fight, you're willingly there, but maybe you weren't willingly there in Kosovo or Iraq. I don't know. I mean, so you can start to play some semantic games of what that really means, because it's not like anybody asks their soldiers and says, hey, let's take a poll and see if you really want to invade that country. I mean, we don't do that. But nonetheless, on the Russian side, morale is obviously much worse. Much worse. What else? What do you think about Biden's speech to anyone who attacks our people? Pretty strong language for him. Look, Biden's speech. This was the speech Biden gave announcing the death of Zawahiri or Zawahiri. It was a good speech on substance. Biden is just a shitty speaker. And it's hard for me to get beyond because I am so hooked on the notion that marketing matters in terms of how you present yourself, how you speak, what information, what witnesses you bring forward, what graphics you're going to use, right? I mean, how you're going to make your argument. It is huge. And I think Democrats suck at it many times. That Biden, but I can't fault him. He's just a shitty public speaker. It's not dementia in this case. He can't freaking give a public speech. He reads the teleprompter, and he literally reads the teleprompter, and he's reading monotonously the teleprompter. That's just who he is. He ain't good at it. And he stumbles. Now, mind you, some of the stumbling is because he's a stutterer. He's been a lifelong stutterer. So the stumbling could be stuttering and him catching it and correcting it, right? Because one of the ways you get around stuttering, I had a stutter when I was a kid. You try to find other words because there's the one word that isn't going to work. And you start to say the one word and then you say the other word. That looks like a stumble, right? So, but he's a terrible speaker. I mean, even when he's not stuttering, he's just a terrible speaker. And it makes him sound old. It makes him sound everything you just said. It makes him sound senile. It makes him sound too old. It just unfortunately exacerbates. It not exacerbates. It plays into all the negative stereotypes. But again, I don't know what you do about it because this is the way the guy speaks. But it's too bad. It's too bad because when he was giving the speech, I was imagining Obama giving the speech or Bill Clinton, and I was like, rah, rah, right? Obama, or Clinton especially, right? But actually, the two of them especially. This was a huge victory for Biden. And again, as president, he gets credit. It, of course, was the guys on the military, boys and girls on the ground who did it, who get the credit. They're the ones who risked their lives. Well, on the ground, it was a drone, but whatever. Drone operators were responsible, but the buck stops with the president. We blame him for inflation when it goes bad. We credit him with Zawahiri when it goes well. But yeah, his reading on screen drives me insane. I wish they wouldn't do. I don't know how they get away with it, but I wish they wouldn't do it. It almost makes me wonder. If Biden is somebody who literally, if you handed him the speech in his hand, would he do a better job? I wonder about that. And just have that be his thing. Where, yeah, I'm old school. I read speeches by hand. I'm not going to play because the whole teleprompter thing is trying to pretend you're not reading the speech anyway. He can't do it. They ought to. I mean, I wonder how he would be reading it in his hand. He might be better reading it in his hand. Anyway, what do you do? I mean, or you pre-record and you pre-record to death, but yeah, reading off, okay, there you go. Reading off, Famous and a Few was saying he reads off cards sometimes. There you go. I was thinking cards too, because at least for me, with the speech classes I had, we were told to use note cards. And it was really interesting and it was really helpful. It was ironically a class I had in high school, junior year of high school, my third year of high school, and a wonderful history teacher. And he basically taught us and made it so that you use note cards. And I think we were only allowed to put 3 points on each note card. That was the way it was. And it had to be bullet points. We were not allowed to read so in other words, we were not allowed to read the note card and the next sentence and the next sentence. There had to be 3 things on the note cards that were 3 ideas oh, right, George Washington did this. and then you said, yes, on that date, Washington did this, and it was important. It was important because blah, 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 and you talked more about it, but that you got a talking point and then talked about it. Now, as President of the United States talking about the war on terror, you don't want to make mistakes. I was in debate as well, yeah. You don't want to make mistakes, right? So they don't want to do that with him, but there is going on television, the same thing. Going on TV is really hard as a guest because you can't have copious notes in front of you because you don't know what questions are coming up. You do know the topic, and I'll name drop here. It's something you're always told, but Chris Matthews, who I like the guy. I know he got into trouble and all of that, but you know, I like the guy. He's super smart. He can be a bit of a dick, and obviously, you know, was not great with the women. But I was on his show once, Hardball, and nice guy, very tough but fair. But right before we went on, we had a couple minutes. He goes, "Okay, I know you're new. I don't know if you've done this before, but the easiest thing to do," he said, "just come up with 3 talking points and just keep hammering those 3 talking points. Always come back to them." And I was like, thank you. I mean, I already knew that, but I thought it was an incredibly nice thing for him to do because I was probably in my 20s, maybe 30, and he was much older, in his 60s probably, and just sort of saw that I was kind of new to this. Anyway, I thought it was a nice thing. But he's also right that on TV, you've got 3 talking points, and no matter what, you try to come back to the talking points, you know? Very interesting. Name of the t-shirt store is represent.com /store/Aravosis. Represent.com /store/Aravosis. And let me do the recap, by the way, since we're already here. Hang on a second here. What am I doing here? One moment. Oh. Look at you all. Somebody bought two t-shirts. Bless your little heart, whoever you are. It's like my first sale. Thank you. That was sweet of you, whoever that was. Let me do my oops, got to pull up the screen again. Where are you guys hiding on me here? There you are, hiding on me. All right, let me do the news again for you, the recap. So I started by showing you the new HIMARS video, which is very funny, for the Ukrainian government did a promo for it being HIMARS o'clock. Oh no, there is a funny line too. It's always HIMARS hour somewhere. I don't know. Because in English, at least, the joke is it's always like when somebody wants to get a drink in the afternoon or whatever, like not even the afternoon, like at noon, and you're like, you're going to drink at noon. And the joke is, hey, it's always happy hour somewhere. And so I don't know. It's always HIMARS hour somewhere. It doesn't ring my ear perfectly, but what do you do? We then talked about Pelosi arriving in Taiwan today, the U.S. House Speaker, and then we touched briefly on al-Zawahiri, the head of al-Qaeda, being killed by a U.S. drone on Saturday. I will say about al-Zawahiri, the guy was like hanging out on his balcony a lot, they said, which seems insane. I mean, either he didn't care or he was incredibly dumb. I mean, literally hanging out on your balcony a lot. It's anyway. Kind of, you wish you could be inside the spy agencies and like just that, like using the spy satellites and getting pictures and trying to, getting a picture of somebody's head like this and trying to identify if it's them. That stuff fascinates me. The Czech Republic, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania suspended issuing tourist visas for Russian citizens. The first Ukrainian vessel with grain reached Turkey today. Another Kherson collaborator blew up today. It was blown up by partisans. Not today. He blew up on July 30th. He was a collaborator and local mobster, and it landed him in the hospital. I didn't mention this. Ukrainian Marines reportedly took 11 Russian service members prisoner after conducting a localized counterattack in an unspecified area of Kherson. and the withdrawal of Russian troops from eastern Ukraine, moving them over towards Zaporizhia. Thank you, Red Eye. Moving over them towards Zaporizhia because the Russians are getting worried about a counteroffensive, is opening up eastern Ukraine now to a counteroffensive there by the Ukrainians. So the Ukrainians are playing a bit of a cat and mouse game with the Russians. Russia's Supreme Court labeled the Azov Battalion terrorist organization. The U.S. imposed sanctions on Putin's alleged mistress, Alina Kabaeva. 5 foreigners who sided with Ukraine in the defense of the southern city of Mariupol are to stand trial in the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, that's eastern Ukraine, accused of being foreign mercenaries. They are 1 Swede, 1 guy from Croatia, and 3 people from Britain. Business Insider had a long article that I read, a long segment of, but talking about how Russian forces can't cope with the unpredictability of Ukrainian troops because of Ukrainians having their non-commissioned officer corps. And it's making all the difference from how the Russians do business. And finally, the Kyiv School of Economics says that the economy has been damaged to the tune of $108 billion with a B. It will take at least $185 billion for the recovery, and that most of the damage is in, or the largest share of the damage is in destroyed housing. There we go. Okay, so I'm happy to talk T-shirts for a few more minutes. I like the brainstorming thing. This is good. This is good. Okay, thanks, Deemer. Yep, I'll check my emails as soon as we're done. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Those were sort of the ideas we had offhand about the shirts. You know, I do like something. I mean, I do like something with a Ukrainian. We were even saying like something simple, like even Ukraine in white on a back, or Ukraine, the Ukraine map, but simple, nothing on it, in yellow on a blue shirt, for example. Could be interesting, you know. 420 Heimart. Oh God, that's funny. 420 Heimart time. Oh, God. Well, that would certainly be for a particular crowd. We'd have to make sure that the that represent.com doesn't object to that. They may object to that level of humor. I don't know. You know, without, yeah, I'd have to see about that one. What else? Oh, you can do, the best part is you can do as many colors as you want, because the way these guys work, it's the same price. So I will say, my guess is, you know, their palette is probably still limited. So you might not want to use 20 different colors because it may be hard to recreate. But, you know, you can do black and white, but I kind of feel like, I don't know, it could be black and white. It could be, you know, come up with an idea for it. Sure. You know, I mean, I'm going to test out more of the children's drawings. I'm not sure how some of the other ones will look, you know, although some of the cute ones, like the one that I really like, again, hold on, I'll show you, you know, the one, I mean, this is the one that I already put up as a T-shirt, right? And again, the color, look at the colors on that thing. I mean, just gorgeous. Oh, and I subsequently, when I was setting this up and scanning it for the shop, I realized what's actually going on. Now, it's possible. I thought she meant these as being, okay, it's the traditional outfit the woman is wearing, right? The Ukrainian outfit with the flowers in her hair and the ribbons and all of that, right? She's carrying the flag. I kind of interpreted it as being a bit of an angel, and the wings were fire, which it could be. It also could simply be she's walking through the fires, and she's like the traditional Ukrainian girl walking through the fires, proudly carrying the flag, you know? So it was kind of an interesting, I mean, this is a 10th grader, you know, pretty potentially nuanced drawing there. In any case, so that one I made the t-shirt. This one I'm still tempted to make a t-shirt because I just think it's too cute. It just, I'd have to look again and see if we know what grade. Oh, it says what grade. Hold on. This was, it says 12, but 12 isn't the grade. Could he be 12 years old? She? Alexica? No. Skelica. Angelica, maybe? Angelica? Here, is Julia still here? What's the girl's the first name? The last first name? Skelica? Or something? I see Skelica. But also trying to get the 12, what it's referring to. It's kind of a fire angel. I still wonder if it's a fire angel. Angelica, 12 years old. Okay, it is Angelica. Okay, 12 years old. Yeah. I mean, I like the childishness of this one makes me happy. And it's, it's about thank you. And that the thing they say, the heroes, the Heroem Slava, our heroes are great or whatever. Slava Ukraina. And there's this part, the mi peremojemo, which I keep forgetting what that is. Is it something like we won't be beaten or something? Or we won't, but in any case, we will win. Okay. I just think this one's so cute that I'm going to try it and see if it works on a t-shirt. Because it's so cute, I just like it. And personally, I've always been a big fan of foreign writing. Like I told Vlad, I said, I want more t-shirts that have Ukrainian on them, I mean, that are the right theme, but that have Ukrainian. Because that's kind of cool. And then the other ones, I'll see. I mean, I may not put them all up at once, but the other t-shirts, yeah, well, hold on. Yep. Here you go. I'm not doing pictures on the back of the shirt because it feels like it's a lot. And my guess is the price goes up significantly if we're doing that. I don't usually do, even whenever I've had t-shirts, I don't usually have a t-shirt that has something on the front and back, to be honest. Hello, I know. What? Are you not covered? Oh, you're not covered up? Okay. All right. One moment. Here you go. All right. There you go. All right. It's funny. As I was walking back and forth, I heard the ugh. And it's the sound, I told you this, it's the sound Sasha uses when she's rolled into a ball and can't get the blanket on top of her. And I walked over there and the blanket was next to her bed, not on her bed, so she couldn't do it. I swear to God, the dog freaks me out. She literally has a noise that means, please cover me with the blanket. It's like, it is one smart little doggy there. What's another t-shirt idea? Oh, you want me to show you the others again? Sure, I'll show you the others again. Why not? Hold on. Why not? And with the others, I mean, it's just going to depend whether we'll still auction them off. I mean, we'll auction off the originals eventually. I've scanned them in, so I pretty much have excellent scans of them already. But hold on, put these down here. I mean, this one's, hold on. I kind of want to get the, she dated it, which is not, or he dated it. I don't think I don't think their name on this one. I don't think there is a name on this one. So this one is that, oops, get my fingers off the Ukrainian. you know, all I can read there is angel. Actually, if somebody wants to translate them as we do it again, why not? Let your angel guard you. Oh, that's nice. Let your angel guard you. That's nice. Well, we're going to auction these off. Hold on, I'm going to write that down for some of these. Just so since you guys are translating them, let your angel guard you. That's a nice one. Well, and then she wrote a really nice, this is the one who wrote the really nice paragraph. I say she, it might be a guy. The really nice paragraph on the back that, I mean, is like whoosh. You know? I was able to get it pretty well with Google Translate. I told you it freaked me out. Oh, V-neck, that's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, this one's nice because she just goes, well, and actually what happened on the back was it synced, the color went through, but because she wrote an essay on top, it still looks like that's the design, which is kind of, except that you see the top part is backwards, but it's you know, it's a very long paragraph in Ukrainian. If somebody wants to give us the quick down and dirty. Oh God, a snow globe with the Moskva underwater. You know, I am certainly partial to Moskva references. You know, I mean, the Moskva would be pretty funny. Thank you, Paul. Nice of you. I appreciate that. You know, any kind of a shirt dealing with the Moskva makes me very happy. This is a nice, sweet one. No name on it, but it's sweet. Just to show you. Oh, thank you, B-Dog. Zamir v Ukraini. I'm going to guess it means peace for Ukraine. Similar kind of idea? For peace in Ukraine. Okay. It's cute, right? It's cute. We're gonna do the auctions two ways. I looked around and it was just too freaking confusing. Syndicate has set it up that we are going to be able to do the auction within the Discord, but because it is going to be more a gentleman's agreement auction on the Discord, right? I'm not taking your PayPal information, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be us. We're going to keep the Discord one to paying members, because hopefully that at least cuts out the crazy people, you know? And we still may have to use PayPal to pay each other or something, just because if it's you guys, I trust you and you trust me. But if it's, you know, if the Discord becomes big, in any case, we're thinking of using it to do some of them, and that way it keeps it within the family more, you know, so that some of these are just for you guys, and some of the stuff that Vlad sends me too, the shirts and things. And honestly, I'm kind of thinking of using eBay. I hate using eBay. I feel like eBay is so cold and everything, but everybody knows how to use eBay, you know? And I still, with eBay, may only make it America, because at least here the conventional wisdom is you just get robbed. If anybody is you know, bidding on something from abroad, you just get robbed here. It's all scammers that we get, unfortunately. I mean, same thing for you guys abroad, probably. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I know the fees are too high. The fees are too high. Etsy doesn't. Yeah, but Etsy doesn't. I'm talking about bidding. This is for bidding. This is for an auction. It's for an auction. Does Etsy do auctions? Yeah, this is bidding. And I checked out the one auction that one of you had shown me, and it's a fine site. I like it. I like the look of it. What I worry about is people don't know it, and therefore does it make, I called eBay. They were fine with it, believe it or not. I called eBay and I said, look, I'm a guy that raises money for Ukraine. I'm raising money for people I know there. I am not giving it to a 501c3 or the international organization of Pupa, right? And he said, that's okay. So I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. I said, okay. No, I had a long talk with the guy. He goes, I think it's great what you're doing. I said, okay. Because I said, yeah, I don't want to get into trouble by putting something up and saying, either all the proceeds or a portion of the proceeds are going to Ukrainian humanitarian aid, and then have somebody be like, But anyway, so somebody had another app that I liked the app a lot. What I worry about was I had never heard of the app, and it meant downloading the app, learning the app, and trusting the app that I don't know. eBay, I don't use eBay often, but I've used eBay for 25 years or 20 years, whatever it's been. You know what I mean? Even though I don't use them often. Yeah, the only thing is, this is income for me anyway. These aren't donations. You know what I mean? When you're buying this, oh, I see what you mean. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd have to be careful how we do it. The eBay stuff, I see what you mean. If it's a 1099 miss, I still think eBay's easier. I mean, worst comes to worst for the eBay stuff, I'm going to have Vlad send me an invoice for each one, for the work he's done. Because he has. And I'm going to say, Vlad, this one went for $300. Invoice me for $300. I mean, that would work. I know the local news might be into it. I mean, I like the idea. It is kind of neat with the different drawings. Now, there is something I will say is, as somebody who's worked in politics and everything for so long, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't help getting news. Sometimes you get attention and it's like the eye of Sauron suddenly goes, and then the Russians and the far right and everybody else want to destroy you, and so that kind of stuff creeps me out sometimes. But I do agree. I mean, and we've raised enough already anyway. I mean, we've already raised $57,000 for Ukraine. I mean, for considering that's just you guys, that's pretty cool. A live auction on the platform, that'd be interesting. I don't know that there are any such platforms to do it, as I said, I just feel like eBay is known, it's stable, it works, people know how to use it. And that was part of the reason I also thought of doing the auctions in our Discord behind the paywall, because that way at least, I don't mean to make you guys have to pay $5 a month, but anybody who's doing anybody who's there then can bid, and it's a much smaller crowd, so that it's just for us. And it won't just be, because if it's for the public at large on Discord, it'll be a mess. So anyway, we'll see. But yeah, the income thing is an ongoing, it's an ongoing pain in the ass. I mean, for these shirts in the store, it's easy. That's just income. But for the income, yeah, actually, you're right. Even any income I send Vlad like that, I'm going to have to get some kind of document from Vlad or whatever. Oh, that's interesting. Legally Blind. That's interesting. I'd not heard about. My nephew may know about that. I will ask him. He knows many things. But do it here live. Yeah, but that's the problem, is there's too many crazy people. You know what I mean? So all the liars, all the trolls would just keep bidding up and be obnoxious. We couldn't do it that way. There's just no way to do it. People often have live auction selling items on TikTok? How? How? You know what I mean? No, I mean the troll, but I mean the trolls. The trolls would just sit there and go $500. I mean, right? And there's no way for me to hold them accountable. Add a checkout option. How? On Facebook? I mean, buying t-shirts is the easiest, obvious. Yes. But the idea was we thought we might be able to make more money for Vlad, and I mean for the work Vlad's doing by auctioning off the originals, which could be kind of neat, or I just put a price on the originals and, I don't know, $50 a piece, or I don't know what it is, and we do it that way. I don't know. I mean, the nice part about bids is, sometimes it's somebody likes the piece, and they've got some money and they want to be more generous, so they're willing to bid $200 on it, and then we make a little more money for Vlad, for Vlad and company. You know what I mean? It could be 500 each. I mean, it could be, but the problem is, again, that may make it just too cost prohibitive for people too. I just don't know. I mean, I could see I did to think. I mean, whether the opening bid was 50, that's a possibility on these, since they're hand-drawn paintings and all of that, But in any case, Canadians, well, here's the thing. The auction we hold, a few raffles, if there's some way to figure it out, sure. You know what I mean? I'm just not sure how to figure it out. That's an interesting idea. David. Like an online raffle. The only problem is that gaming? Like, is that gambling or something? I just want to make sure it's legal. But it would be kind of nice for people to do fundraising, to have like an online. I thought about an NFT. The question became whether there's any. Oh, I'm just looking for advice at this point, Rainbow, just to see what people think. Yeah, that was my fear. You can't do a raffle because it's considered gambling, which is too bad. NFTs are intriguing. I just don't. Raffles are allowed here. Or depending where here is. Your name is Ciel. And again, I am intrigued by NFTs, but the question becomes a waffle. Exactly. Waffles are allowed. I am intrigued by the NFT thing, though. I know. I don't want to talk too much longer since I'm going to my doctor tomorrow to check out the voice. Oh, and we stayed just long enough for Nathan's best buddies to pop in. There you go, Nathan. See, had I not gone longer tonight, you would not have been fulfilled in that special way that only you are. Anyway, we don't have to nail this all down tonight, but I wanted to throw it out to you guys because you would have ideas. Exactly. It's got to be something easy, which is why I am going to do the merchandise. Actually, here's the last question for folks, only because people who have experience doing this. Should I go through these now and try to create more shirts now? Or am I putting too much merchandise in the shop right now? Or shouldn't it matter? You know what I mean? The store name is represent.com/store/Aravosis. What was that? Drawn from all the super stickers or chats on a date and time. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. As long as it doesn't matter, because I wasn't sure, like, oh, should I only have 2 or 3 things originally so you guys can look and buy, or, or because also it doesn't really matter because they already give pretty good margins. Oh, thank you, Syndicate, for posting that. They already give pretty good margins, but the more you sell in 1 week of one item, the better margins. But their margins are already pretty good. I mean, so that I'm less worried about that. It's more a question of what? I forgot what somebody had said there. I was just looking at what David had said, which was very interesting. Saying draw from all the super stickers or chats on a certain date. That's an interesting idea. Now it's hard because I guess I'd have to say each one is, well, okay, you know what, guys? There are different ways of doing this. I mean, Yulia was telling me, and then Vlad, I think Yulia, Vlad must know the same thing you do with, because I was talking about like when we gave away the patch to the woman in Canada, and I think her name was Anne. And I was like, well, how do we pick a random person from the PayPal contributors or whatever? And Vlad actually had some software which made it really easy. Although he was also able to get the email addresses easily because PayPal here in the States, for some reason, no longer lets me download email addresses. I don't know why, and it's kind of pissing me off. But nonetheless, Vlad had an easy way to do that. It could easily be, it could be anybody who contributes that day. You could just contribute to my PayPal. Well, it gets a little confusing because I know the Europeans hate PayPal. Europe, you gotta learn to like PayPal. It's a pain in the ass, but it's like eBay. It's the big kahuna and it works. No, that's an interesting idea though. That's an interesting idea. I'm just writing more of these ideas here. Because easy to do one person who donated on PayPal that day, assuming TikTok doesn't get upset, but just saying, today we're, now actually, I mean, one way we want to do this more in the future too is, it was Vlad's idea already to give some of the things we've got, whether it's this, whether it's some of these guys, but to next time we fundraise, well, we already did it. That's what we did for the last one. We gave away one of the stickers to one of the people who donated. And to do that again with the next fundraiser, that there's always going to be one person who wins something each time. And actually this was, again, Yulia was the one that sort of gave me some of these ideas to do these kind of things. And I think it's kind of nice anyway. Thank you, Flower Lady. I like the idea of, every time we hold a fundraiser for something, we're going to pick one person and give them one of our cool Ukrainian prizes. Why not? That'd be kind of neat. And yeah, well, PayPal, you have accountability anyway. Well, accountability, I mean, that's more a question of shipping the product and that kind of stuff, because that's a whole other problem too, by the way, with buying the shirts. When you buy them from that company, it's easy. But if I'm selling things via the auction, then it just gets to internationally becomes more expensive too, because shipping, for example, I looked it up, shipping in America. Oh God, shipping in America, this would be next to nothing. Shipping this to Europe, probably a couple bucks, maybe. To Canada was like $1.80. Europe might be a little more. But if you add tracking to it, like to Canada, if I added tracking, it went up from $1.80 to like $15 if I added tracking. So you get into that of something this light, right? So imagine the stuff that's heavier. Now, I did look into it for Europe and much of the world, like the shirts and things that we're going to be auctioning off and giving away as well. They can probably go in a USPS International pre-box thing, whatever, or certain size box that is small, for like, $15 to $35, depending on this. Probably $25. Probably $25. But that's an extra $25 shipping if you're not in the United States. So those are issues that people will have to consider on their own, if you're doing any of our auctions, but as Syndicate said to me, those of you who live in Europe, for example, are well aware of the issue of having things mailed there from the States or elsewhere. So USPS, the only problem is, USPS tracks when you buy that $25 thing. Yeah, which is nice. Okay, guys, I'm going to go because of the voice thing. I shouldn't have even gone this long, but this was very helpful. So I appreciate you guys doing this. All right. So just auction and not buy our design and choose shirt color. I don't know what that means, Webadeb. What does that sentence mean? eBay has an international shipping program? Really? I'm just afraid of getting screwed by all the cheaters on eBay internationally. Oh, you're right. Right when we finish, I'm going to pull up the bio thing right now, actually, so I don't forget. What is it? Beacons. Yeah, I'll put it in the bio right now. Yep, I will do that right now. I mean, it depends. I'm selling the t-shirts right now in the store. The auction is going to be for original items. So there is already a t-shirt of this item, but eventually we are going to auction the original painting. That's the difference. These things, obviously, now, I shouldn't say that. I may very well take one of these. I already scanned one in that looked really good. This could make a nice little white t-shirt as well, potentially, the little Ukrainian patch on it or something, Any case, let's talk more tomorrow. I can't do prints yet with this service. I've got to sell stuff first, and then they open up the universe of more things I can sell. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I will set this up for tomorrow, 6 p.m. as always. This was very helpful. Thank you. And yes, I'm still doing my water with honey and lemon. And tomorrow morning, we will say what the ENT says about my throat. So thanks for forcing me to do that too, everyone. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.